almost every day or every week in Nigeria today, at least in the last 7 years, and that's the issue of insecurity. And that's what we're looking at this morning. We're looking at way out of Nigeria, out of the woods, in terms of insecurity in the land. We've got in the studio this morning two gentlemen who are competent to actually discuss this topic. On my immediate right is Venerable Samson Bokwala. He's the chairman, Police Community Relations Committee in Ogun State. Good morning, Venerable.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have with us the chairman of Society for Security and Peace Studies in Ogun State, Mr. Allah Rahim. Mr. Rahim, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with Venerable this morning. Venerable, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago that the Zamfara state government actually told its people, residents of the state, that they should go defend themselves. And it appeared to us here that government has abandoned its constitutional role in that state. Has it gotten that bad?
Well, good morning. I think it's quite unfortunate that we have found ourselves in this country where we are today in terms of insecurity. But of course, I would not want to take Nigeria as an isolated country or in isolation, because we know that generally in the world today, there are insecurity everywhere. Every country is having its own, unfair share of this issue of insecurity. And therefore, what is happening in Nigeria should be taken in the global context. Yeah, of course, we have our own local problem, the issue of the ISWAP, the bandits, the rustlers, and all that. Talking about what is happening in Zamfara State, I think it's just born out of frustration on the part of the governor. You know, when you've tried everything possible and you seem not to be getting the right answers, then of course you want to say, okay, look, I've tried my best. Now everybody go out. But of course, as a governor, he has been elected, and it's one of his primary duties to see to the security of his people. And whatever is going to happen has to be in the context of the Constitution. We cannot, and we should not go outside of the Constitution to look for a solution. If the solution we know we want to prefer is against the Constitution, then of course the best thing to do is to amend the Constitution so that it will be able to accommodate. In America today, you're free to carry gun. You can carry gun, you can take it anywhere you want to go because the Constitution allows for it. So of course, so if you want to do same in Nigeria, if that is the solution to our problem, I think the first thing to do before we go all out to say everybody should go out, buy a gun and defend yourself, is to look at the constitutional framework and how do we moderate this in the context of our people, in the context of the low level of awareness and of our people. We're telling somebody in the north, for example, we've been talking about the low level of education in some parts of this country. You just open the gate and say they should go and carry AK-47 and start shooting. We are having enough problem as it is without people carrying AK-47. We just the dagger and knife and all this, that we're having all this level of insecurity. So if we now go to the same region, I will now tell that same region how to go all out. Of course, our problems are within. These people attacking are also Nigerians. So if you are asking everybody to carry AK-47, you are also, further arming, these bandits to do more damage to us. So I think I see what the governor has said is that he's trying to, say, okay, I've tried my best, but I think it is not the right thing to do.
Mr. Rahim, for you in your Society for Security and Peace Studies, I don't know, has it really worried you, or does it worry you regularly that, the volume of conflicts we have seen in Nigeria, over the years, particularly in the last 7.5 years or over, but close to 8 years, is it something that also worry you a lot, or your society is just academic?
Thank you, Biodun. It's worrisome, no doubt. The trend is alarming, and it's beyond what we see regarded as a physical attack here and there. And when you, even at the local level, you really can see a day that you don't have issues of that has to do with psychological threats, that affect emotion of our people and all that. So it's not just physical violence that you see here and there. You get to mortuary burial ground, for instance, and you feel threatened when something is not chasing you. Especially in our own Yoruba people, feel what is going on here. It's like you find people going to their news sites and they are afraid to live there because of issue of miscreants, kidnapping of a thing, banditry of a thing, and all that. It's porous, and that one is an exercise not just by a particular society or a particular body to address. It's expected to be a collective consciousnness of people. Creating awareness. That's what we do at our hands. Creating awareness, sensitize people, and to be conscious of individual, security affairs threats, issues that may lead to, that may affect them in the society, in the immediate environment. You enter cab and you are not sure of it's your safety inside a public cab. It's happening. Yeah, it's not peculiar to Ogun State or Southwest. It's almost everywhere outside Nigeria, as it has been adduced by. So it's something disturbing.
All right, let's also look at the many solutions that have been looked into. Some would say that government is responsible for the security of the states. And of course, people are saying that what kind of people do we have at the ends of affair to actually start with? We talk about Zamfara State. He said he has tried everything. And I don't know if you've seen him tried everything as we have it. And of course, also the quality of people leading us and what is driving the need for them to lead the country or lead the different states that they are.
Thank you very much. We cannot talk of insecurity without looking at the fundamentals, the foundational problems. It is just that unfortunately in this country we seem to leave things to fester for too long. And by the time they now become a monster, we now find that very difficult to control. When this issue of Libya, Mali, Sudan, and sub-Saharan Africa, when the issues started, we are always, saying it won't come to us. It won't get to us. When the Gaddafis of this world, and we are having this internal conflict in Mali, in Sudan, you have it. But at the end of the day, when America intervened and Gaddafi was taken out, it's like you now have, a gamut of, armed personnel that has been living off, this civil war, and then just suddenly find themselves out of job, and of course they have the guns and all, and you start having these, arms now getting into this country. And unfortunately, we have, so large an expanse of borderlines in this country that's virtually unmanned. Yes, we have border patrols, we have people coming, but you have thousands of kilometers of around the bush part that people can come in. So we start having these these ammunitions, these guns and all that coming into this country, and now we have it there. You will remember that about 5 years ago, I think 4 or 5 years ago, we have this large catchment of ammunition, seized at the port, and I think it was in transit or something. Up to today, we don't really know what happened to that particular thing. So, if such large, ammunition and weapons of warfare should, get into this country, and nobody is talking about it. In Zamfara, there was a time that amnesty was given to these people. They said, okay, you ban the layer of your arms, and they did it. But you see, when something has become the source of livelihood for people, it becomes very difficult, to take them out of it without providing an alternative, a suitable alternative. If somebody is going out every morning and is making 300,000, 400,000 every day, just by kidnapping, and you now say, put down the gun, I will be giving you 10,000 naira. You see, it is not commensurate. And of course, we are all human. It becomes very difficult for criminally minded person to now say, okay, just for the sake of 10,000 naira, I'm going to abandon. So it's something that the government actually needs to look at. When we had this problem of, in the southeast, during the Yaradua thing, it came out and it was able to, give a commensurate, alternative to these people. Education, take them abroad, educate them, train them, give them scholarship and all this. And because of that, we're able to have, they weigh the two instead of me, staying in the bush and then if I can go to university, I also become a guy. But many of them are back in the country now working, as respectable. So the government needs to look at this. It's just not just, giving them carrots and say, okay.
The governor of Anambra State also alluded to the fact that these people called gunmen or known gunmen are largely business people. And of course, it's difficult for you to fight them, like he has described them, without necessarily giving them alternative that is viable enough to take them out of where they are right now. So where is it, do you think, the government should start the work of fixing the security of the country so that we can have relative peace?
It appears the government is not, at all levels anyway, really following the involvement, the trends, of insecurity of a thing. If I would take us back to era of pre-colonial, structure, the formation we had then was, where we have, for instance, in the south, the Yoruba kingdom, where we had the Obas, the H grade, formation. And what did they serve? They protect the community, they serve, they represent the interest of the community, shaded by, directed by the Oba. It was a community-based security network that a nearby community cannot just easily invade your community without, being, forestalled, So, as it's involved in the country, what we experienced in the 1990s, 1980s, 1990s is different from what we are experiencing today. You recall around late 1980s, early 1990s, when this issue of house-to-house robbery was at alarming rates. And at the point, I could remember in some parts of this country, particularly if Southwest, Ijebu side and all that, people had to, organize themselves, vigilante of a team. They coordinated themselves, and in collaboration with the police, the security, state security, to really cushion the effect. People were arrested and handed over to the police and all that. It's an issue where, there's no way you can allow the state to address the whole gamut of insecurity of this nature. You have to come to this to the community. It is the failure or the weak of the community that is, escalating this matter of a thing. So what I see there is the state cannot do it in isolation. The state has to involve leadership of the various communities, within the state to, incorporate them and ensure that they do the needful at that level, and equip them as possible. And that is where I want to align with Samvara state government, who just created civilian JTF, yesterday or day before yesterday. We are just realizing that trying to wake up. And the Amoteco of it here in the Southwest is also something, but we have to go beyond that. We have to go beyond that. In our various, what is the CDA? The CDOs, what are they doing when you cannot protect your community? You have the balance, you cannot organize yourself in your community, you abuse everything, you allege government. Who are we not the government? How with you?
We are in charge of our community. You are the Bale, you are the chairman of the CDA. You cannot protect, you cannot network, you cannot organize your people, protect your people. You know, you have the landlords. The landlords will bring in, will accommodate people, and you collect. You know, you cannot. You don't know what the person, your tenant, is doing. He wakes up in the morning.
It's getting very emotional now.
It is serious matter.
And when it comes to political meetings, they attend.
Of course,
they attend
political
when it comes to land matters. When it comes to land matters, selling land, they are always very effective.
When it comes to the real job, we'll come back to that. I can see you are really getting angry this morning, but control your anger. Gentlemen, you have actually spoken about alternatives. Should it be alternatives for criminals, or you crush them? In the 70s, I grew up, you know, with the stories of Oyenusi. The story of Anini. Anini, when was Anini? I think in the 90s.
During Babangida.
And then I also grew up with the story of, you know, killing criminals, you know, in full public glare. But these days, some people are caught, and you know, people don't even trust the police. They take them to the police. Sometimes people do jungle justice because they believe that they have this impression that you take them to the police station, they are released. You know, you don't think that is also an encouragement for criminality, Venerable?
I think when it comes to the issue of, you know, criminal prosecution, our people need to be, you know, very, very aware of the procedure. A lot of blame are being put on the police. The police is just there to charge a case to court. When you, as a community, when you bring a matter to the police, of course the police will go in there, do their own investigation, and if it warrants taking them to court, they take them to court. But the onus of getting that particular person committed has to do with the community.
But you see, Venerable, I think the point again is that because I've had to sit down with some people, and what they say is that they don't see the end of those cases. They only see the beginning. They don't get to see the end.
Yeah, they don't.
Somewhere along the line,
yeah.
They know that somewhere along the line. So sometimes some abracadabra happens.
No, most of the time it has to do with the mentality of our people. Our people believe that once you apprehend a criminal and you hand him to the police, the next thing is for the police to dump that person in prison. It's not done. It's not done. I've had occasions to be in court, and if you see how magistrates, judges, rubbish policemen, because the community that reports such a case refuse to turn up as witness. The police are not there when this act was being perpetrated. It's my house that is robbed, for example. I am the one that reports to the police. So I should also be available to see to the end of the thing. But along the line, say, I won't go to court. Once you go to the police station now, they'll take you to court. They will be telling you, come today, come tomorrow. And you see our people along that line. And at the end of the day, the laws are there.
The accused is released.
Yeah, the laws are there. They will tell you the prosecution is not diligent enough, and so the case is dismissed. But beyond that, I want to key into this issue of this community policing. This community policing is something that we have to look critically at this moment. We have gotten to a point where it has become inevitable. It is not even talking about necessity now. It's inevitable for us to have community policing where everybody will be involved in the community of, just like my colleague has said, the CDAs. I've always, anytime I have the opportunity of telling them, they are the chief security officers of their community. It is in this community that these criminals hibernate. It is the landlords that rent out house to them. And some of them have even got to the point now of building their own houses, not renting any longer, because they have become stupendously rich that they can afford. But of course, these houses are still located within the community, where you can see they are going in and coming out, and the onus is on them to be able to report such. And when we're talking about community organization, when it comes to the issue of community policing, it has to be something that we all need to do together. Everybody should be involved. We have gotten to a point now that we cannot sleep with our eyes closed, whether we like it or not. That is the point we have find ourselves. As of today, maybe the Southwest is about the safest. Even within our own challenges, it's still the safest. Yeah. And we should not allow this thing now. It started in Northeast, Northwest, gets to North Central, cross Abuja. It has now crossed Niger into Kogi, into Ondo State, and it's gradually moving towards the Atlantic. And so we need to nip it in the bud by everybody coming on board. Our police, as of today, we are greatly under-policed in this country. Even with the garment of the Amotekun, the SOSAFE, the VGN, the police, bring all of them together in terms of number and look at the population of about 210 million people. And out of these people that we are talking about, we have a lot of them, about 40–50% of them are not even involved in the normal security and policing work. Some of them are just drivers, some are engineers. So we are
under-investing in security.
Yeah, I think we are under-investing in security. As at this moment that we are now, we have an emergency on our hands. And one of the ways that we can do it is such that we need to get more people into the police. We need to get more people into the army. We need to get more people into all these security agencies. And I'm not talking about just getting people from the lower rung of the ladder. This is the time now to look at who are those that will volunteer, even at the highest level of the civil service. We have an emergency on our hands.
I think the former Chief of Army Staff of the country, that's Tukur Buratai, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, was retired now. He said something that he seems to want to leave everything to the military, or probably the police as well, without necessarily taking care of the root causes of all these problems. So no amount of security personnel recruitment can take place that will be able to solve this problem if we still have the issue of unemployment, if we still have the issue of not planning well for the population of people and of course population of the young ones that are emerging to be adults and to be something in the country. So I don't know if by recruitment, what other things can we do to juxtapose whatever it is that the armed forces and all of us are doing to make sure we are secured in the country?
Thank you very much. You know, just like I say, the foundational problem is what we have. All of us sitting down here, we all pass through educational institutions. During our own time too, we complain about unemployment. We do. It is not everyone that graduated during my time that got employed, but a lot of them were able to, you know, do some extra things to get themselves stabilized. You know, but when we have an educational system that you have garbage in, garbage out, when you look at the quality of these youths that we are even talking about, many of them are not employable. Many of them are not employable. I have a situation where somebody went for an interview, you know, a mass communication graduate went for an interview and cannot even define what mass communication, you know, a course that you studied in the university for 4 years, and you come out and say, okay, you are a mass communication graduate. What is mass communication? And you say, yes, I went for mass communication. I did mass communication. And so this is the thing that we really need to look at. So when we're talking about, we still have, up to today, we still have companies that are still advertising. Go to the internet, you see gamut of opportunities there for people looking for, you know, maybe software engineers, looking for computer gurus, looking for HR people or something like that. And you have people that are now roaming the street that cannot even cannot apply into that. You want to go to Mobile. You want to go to Mobile, for example. You want to go to NNPC, for example. It's not something that you just go through the back door. You need to go through that chain of interviews, oral interview, written interview, and then your psychology and everything. How many of these youths can fit into it?
Mr. Naim, now let's come back to you. Can we also look at the coloration that we've given criminality in Nigeria today? I mean, if you look at the trend, it used to be Niger Delta boys. They were really
Avengers.
The Avengers,
sometime in the past. Now it's come to
unknown gunmen, bandits,
and all that. Is it an ethnic issue, or is it just been politicized?
Or
because some people have also argued that it is an ethnic issue. When you look at you know, the geography of the sociology and the geography of criminalities in Nigeria, where they happen almost on a daily basis. In the papers this morning, in Edo, another Catholic bishop, I think it was two of them were captured. You know, is it ethnic issue? Have you also found that out in your society?
Thank you. It's an obvious thing for anyone following the trend. Today we are not facing religious-based violence or conflicts. We are not also experiencing ethnic-based, ethnicity-based violence. I can say that the era of that is almost, for now, subdued. Let me put it that way. And thank God that we are not. But people, as used by my colleagues, people are enriching themselves by involving in all these activities. It's about survival. It's about money making. It's about coming up with various gangs coming up to say we can get something done. If you are not in government, we are not. We don't get employed. We don't get this. We can do something else to really get that. And if you ask them, they will tell you they are doing their job. In fact, you see a beggar. I once met a beggar who was asking to give something, and I said, "Man, you kit up and all that. Why?" And he said, "This is what he does."
It's professional.
I said, "What is it?" He said, "That is
my job."
yes." So it's that they will tell you that is what they do, and it's because the community allows it. You know, I'm still going back to the community, and we have to take a position. You know, here. To let our people understand how did we get, see, it's from where an individual, erect a building and you wired your house with gadgets and all that, believing that you are safe. That is where we are missing it. Moving from collective approach to individual approach, and without knowing that your movement from a particular your place of work, home, is being monitored by somebody. Before you enter home, somebody must have seen you. As you are leaving someone, some people are citing you, have seen you. And those ones, if you are not careful, they will become threats if you don't do the needful to contribute to the community.
Mr. Rahim,
yes,
I'm not armed. I'm not licensed to carry arms, and as a member of the community, you're expecting me to face a gun-wielding young man, at the gate, how do we reconcile that?
Thank you. It's not about being armed to that, being equipped, the sophisticated arms. See, let me say this. Some of us could, observe it. Sometime recently, a particular state in the southwest when armed robbers invaded a bank, and as they were leaving, returning, and the community, had to coordinate themselves, put some barricaded, and they found it difficult to leave. It wasn't as they exhausted the ammunition. It's about engaging certain people in the community. When you do the needful, for instance, a community that is well coordinated, you know your jurisdiction, you have a good network relationship with other neighborhood communities, that will give you that alata woman, peppers selling woman in the street can give you authentic and information, intelligence, gathering that will alert people to prepare for whatever, to foster whatever that might come up, It's about coordination, and it's about leadership, and it's not just state. State is having its own. We know. Police could be having some challenges.
On a particular street, sometime last week, I don't want to mention the name of the street. I just saw people, running helter skelter and all of that, and they were. Where I sat, I said, "What was wrong?" In the long run, I was told that some boys were shooting somewhere and all of that, and and that again brought the thought to my mind. They may not be up to one or two, or three. And I saw people, going to 50, in number, running away from them. You know, so I mean that's also probably a reflection of what you're talking about. That too, our people are really livered, and so they run away from what is not even
from their shadow
attack. You know, and that's why they allow some boys take over their community.
Exactly.
I've seen some communities where, you know, small businesses have even collapsed. By 7 p.m. they are inside. They don't want to, you know. Is that what you're talking about?
Definitely. You see, it's about coordination. As I will still come back to that. Leadership, it has to evolve. It has to evolve, and when you are asking government at the state level, at the local government level to do the needful, we also, some of us that are taking the responsibility of leading people should also, you know the owners of the office, of the position we are holding, and do the needful within the frame of available resources. Now, what am I saying? There is need to cohort every individual, stakeholders in a particular community, your community. Bring everybody to the table, discuss with them. Those who are not cooperating, know how to channel. When they know you are serious, people will cooperate. You don't tell us a particular landlord is not listening to you.
Talking about being serious, vulnerable, a lot of people have said that the government, yes, is still on the exclusive list of the government to provide security for the people. And yes, you ask yourself, why are they not deploying whatever arsenal they have to getting it done the way it's been saying? People have said that community policing is talking about different groups being formed. We have So Safe in Ogun State. We have state police also being talked about, and then they keep saying that. For example, the president said there is no way they are going to allow police, state police, especially because they've given power to the state, and they are not going down to the local government. For example, the funds that should directly go to the local government and not being channeled to them, and of course they have to sign Executive Order 10. So he's saying that I can't give too much power to them because the one I gave them, they are not able to do it really well. So how do we balance it now? How do we ensure that government is also looking in that direction of getting powers to the local government so that they can also organize like he has been suggesting?
I think I want to put the blame squarely on the doorstep of our National Assembly members. Because no matter how strong the president is, he is still subjected to the laws of the land. So if we have a National Assembly where all the regions of this country are represented, where you have people that cannot even go back to their own community because of insecurity, that cannot see their parents because of insecurity, that cannot have their children school where they want to school because of insecurity, and they still sit down at Abuja, not, scrutinizing the law that will, devolve this power from the presidency, for example, and then give the power back to them. But you now have it that, just like he has said, this thing is more like a commercial venture. It's now more like a commercial venture because people are benefiting from it. People that you don't even expect that are benefiting from it, you start having, this reluctance to do what is needful. What is needful is the fact that some level of power and authority needs to be given to the community, needs to be given to the people. When we're talking about gun licensing, for example, the law still permits that up to certain level of, these ammunitions or these guns can still be acquired, maybe for gaming or for, those that are hunters or something like that. I think even up to the single or double barrel, you could still be able to, but for you to be able to get it, you need to be responsible. The commissioner of police needs to be convinced that you are somebody that could be entrusted with that level of thing. So if we have a community that is well organized, and there is need for one or two of these things to be in that particular community, I don't see why such an organized community cannot approach the commissioner of police, for example, and say, okay, this is how we have organized ourselves. We are going to be having our vigilantes, and we are going to be having, and we have nominated 1, 2, 3 people to be able to acquire this thing. So we need your approval for them for the protection of our community. I think going that way communally rather than an individual that you don't know what the motive is, you know, approaching the police that he wants a double barrel gun or he wants a single barrel gun. You know, when you have this communal setup, where I used to live in the 90s, I don't want to mention the name. There was a point in time that even within our community, because of course we have a lot of, you know, permanent secretaries, retired permanent secretaries, civil servants, and people of base that are there. And you know that whenever we have anything, and you say, when you hear the whistle, if you look the amount of, you know, mobilization that will come out, and you will see about 6, 7, 8 double barrels or single barrels, and for the community, everybody knows it's a community thing. It's not something that somebody has, you know, acquired that thing for its own selfish end. And as at that time, that area I'm talking about was a no-go area for criminals, because when you measure the name, that place, if you go, you won't come back alive. So it's because the community is organized, and they know that the security network within that place. So if every community has such thing within themselves, it is not even about being armed. It's the issue of being proactive. When somebody passes the gate, 1, 2, 3 people passes the gate, and within 2 or 3 minutes, somebody living about 2 kilometers from that gate has gotten, you know, that particular information that, look, everybody gets set. We have seen about 2 or 3 people, you know, crossing the gate at this odd hour. You know, everybody, and you know, by that time you are able, even within that time you have the time to even contact the police or the other, you know, security agents. But when everybody just believe that by 7 or 8, everybody will just go and sleep.
Organization and education and the exposure to. I was also actually going to, before we come back to Mr. Rahim, I think the kind of crime that you see in the Bara GRA, you're talking about Abeokuta now, it's not the kind of crime you see in the Jai.
It's local.
For instance.
It's local.
You can't, there's no way you can enter Ibarra GRA and you think that you go scot-free. I mean, just to buttress.
Yeah, but I agree with you, but Ibarra GRA also have its own problem. And the problem they seem to have that everybody goes to work in the morning, and instead of carrying gun, they just boggle the window, you know, there. So
they have peculiar. Okay, you emphasized on early warnings, and which is largely that we have to prevent it before it happens in the first place. So I don't know, Mr. Rahim, I know your society is doing a lot in sensitizing people, and of course marrying what obtains in academics with what is practical in reality. I don't know how far you've gone so far when it comes to sensitization and of course telling people what they need to know to be security conscious at every level.
Thank you. Let me quickly add to what my colleague just said. If you recruit, if the state agency, state security apparatus, you know, consider it to recruit 1 million personnel, let me domesticate it. In the states today, we might not be able to address the trend, I mean, the state of insecurity we are having. And it's not peculiar to the state, Ogun State. It's almost everywhere in the Lagos State and other states. Now, don't forget the activities of courtism is also there, you know. And so, reason we have to ensure, we have to synergize to push and, as possible, meet with the community leadership. And that is the responsibility of the local government commissioner of, the commissioner of local government, you know, to see, I'm using this medium to call on him to find a means of rechanneling the leadership at various communities in the state, you know, by empowering them, sensitizing them, you know, engaging them to take the security of their community so serious, you know, organize themselves, and as possible give monthly reports, you know, to the state as, you know, situations, you know, go. Now, at the level of our society, we are reaching out, and that's what we do almost every day, you know, collecting data, getting information, what is going on then, and sensitize people, you know, go to market, you know, even the woman you are seeing, the woman you are seeing there, and you feel that she doesn't know much. She's seeing a lot of things. You know, an handicap who is at home, who is sitting in the corridor of a balcony and seeing people moving here and there, and because he doesn't know who to communicate, he doesn't know who to report to, he doesn't have the community is not engaging him or her. You know, exactly. So he just feel that she's even afraid of giving out information because he doesn't. If there's someone I know, they will say that's the woman that told us. So these are things that. So that's why I said we have to take a position at this level that every one of us should go back to the community and reorganize ourselves as possible.
If we are talking about taking a position, and yes, you've talked about the porosity of our borders, and we're not seeing so much deployment into getting our borders manned with sophisticated equipment such that anybody coming in, that's the external aggressors now, coming in will be able to be checkmate at the border lines, and of course the porous borders would also be blocked and of course manned. Is the government actually serious about fighting this insecurity, as it were?
I don't want to put all the blame at the doorstep of government, because whether we like it or not,
I'm specific. The border manning.
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
Government.
Within these borders, we still have Nigerians that are living within these borders. It is these communities that these smugglers or like pass through. It is the houses at this borderline that are used as transit camp, to drop the thing, and then in the night they pick it from there and then take it to another community until it eventually gets to there.
But so we have institutions also responsible for who comes in and who goes out.
You know what has been happening in the Iwa axis in recent times when it comes to customs and villagers and something like that, and then we have issues of people getting killed by stray bullets or something like that. So we have that. Because the issue of human rights will now come in.
Okay.
So a lot of people have been saying, why don't we just go into that bush and then clear all the bandits? But these bandits are also living within a particular community that if you go there, you will wipe them off with the innocent, or with the hostages that have been taken, with the those that have been kidnapped and have been kept as hostage, to be able to give them, a sort of cover. No, and that is why it's very difficult for the military to just go in and start, shooting everywhere. Because at the end of the day, the collateral damage.
Maybe what Simia, as you are closing gradually, maybe what Simia didn't add is, again, the body language of government.
No, of course, the body language. I agree with you that the body language of government is not enough deterrent. Even in this state, we have a situation where we have something as bad as this that happened in the past. And when you say a body language of a government that says that I am not going to tolerate it, and indeed and in action and everything, it shows that they won't tolerate it. Most of these people we are talking about are political talks, whether we like it or not. They are political talks. You will see that as we go into campaign, this thing will go down. Because there is another avenue has been opened. So immediately we'll finish with the campaign and there is nothing coming in because they will use them and dump them. But when you use these people, you arm them, you do sort of, and at the end of the day, you unleash them on the society.
It's like we know the problems already.
We know the problems. So everybody has to take the government. I expect now that the government should have read the Riot Act. Number one, to the issue of, I just heard in Abuja this morning that relaxation centers cannot go beyond 7. Cannot go beyond 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Everybody should go back to their housing. We'll be having issues of kidnapping, maybe during night vigil, during parties or something like that. We need to come out. This government needs to be vibrant about this thing. When people know that the government is serious, and when you make 1 or 2, 3 people scapegoats. There was a time in the 70s or early 80s, that somebody, a prince was caught for armed robbery and he was executed right at the doorstep of the father. And that was the end of it. From that time, you've never heard of any major robbery suspect.
What has happened to public execution?
Human rights.
Human rights.
Because you see, I mean,
Punishments for crimes
that was
being
really
committed is
sending,
also
Human
another.
rights.
sending signals, you know.
Yes.
Now, well, as we're closing,
And the Hague.
no, I think we need to go back to the issue of state police. Are we not right, Mr. Rahim? Is it not belated in Nigeria? We keep talking about copying from advanced countries and all that, but I mean, these are places where state police, you know, flourish. So why is Nigeria different?
It's imperative. We like it or not, that is the way to go, and that is, I think, it's one of the programs of the presidential candidates right now. You know, some of them are saying they are going to devolve power, they are going to ensure.
So some people have also said that it's just.
Let's take them. Let's still give them benefit of doubt with what they are saying.
Assembly
Virtually, the leading presidential candidate are saying almost same thing, that they are going to devolve power and ensure state policing and all that. And where you have state policing working with the various active community policing, let me use that, you know, and I believe it will regulate all these threats, you know, in our society. And don't forget, the activities of the Yahoo guys is also a threat. They are there, many of them.
Is that also survival strategy too? Because we spoke about survival.
Definitely.
An average Yahoo boy, you know, about to encounter a few of them.
Makes more than a civil servant. So why
there
go
was
to
one
civil
that actually came to me and he said, "Oh, bros, I've been watching you on TV since my primary school days." And you know, and I saw his car. You know, I couldn't come close to him. You know, they see.
Lots of value.
I mean, these are the things.
Lots of value.
Complex
Punishment.
So they are you see them the very 1920s, in early 20s, riding cars, you know, building complex and all that, and you could not. The society is not taking them up.
So I think
how were you able to accumulate? Where do you get this and all that and all that? So it's encompassing. It's encompassing. However, the government has to do the needful as well, being proactive, has to, you know, be seen, you know, to leading, you know, and that will encourage community, you know, police and all that to really come up to.
Venerable, your words on state police as a close.
Like we said, before we get to, you know, the constitutional amendment and all that, I think the community still have the onus and the right now to be able to secure their own security. We should look inwards and then organize ourselves to take care of the vacuum that has already been created, pending the time that maybe we'll have a new election and then maybe we'll have a government that will be positively disposed to giving us the community policing of our dream.
Gentlemen, most thank you so much for coming on this program this morning. We'll be looking at insecurity, way out of the woods for Nigeria. Our first discussion segment of the program this morning. And we've had Venerable Samson Popoala, Chairman, Police Relations Committee in Ogun State. Thank you so much, Venerable, for coming this morning. And Mr. Ola Rahim is the Chairman, Society for Security and Peace Studies in Ogun State. Mr. Rahim, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Okay, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be discussing how we can build a knowledge-based society. We've got a professor of philosophy joining us very soon on the program. Stay with us.